Today, I am just going to be doing a reflection of my achievements in writing in 2024. So yeah, this will probably be a short video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I'm just another struggling writer. Well, y'all, I don't know what I was thinking promising a writing vlog for today, because there was no writing to be had this week. It was kind of a madhouse trying to get everything pulled together for Christmas and attending family gatherings and whatnot. Writing just wasn't happening, and I don't know why I thought it would. So instead of a writing vlog today, I am just going to be doing a reflection of my achievements in writing in 2024. So yeah, this will probably be a short video. Okay, that's not fair, but I definitely did not do as much writing as I hoped I would at the beginning of 2024. I recently went back and rewatched my New Year's resolutions video from last year and specifically honed in on the writing section of my goals. It was kind of scary how much my goals last year are going to mirror my goals this year. I'm going to talk more about those goals in a video next week as we get prepared for the new year, but spoiler alert, a lot of my goals from last year are the same as my goals this year, including the project I'm working on, which kind of in and of itself tells you how my 2024 went with regards to writing. Some of my New Year's resolutions writing goals last year were to write every day, write about 500 words a day, pared back from 1,000, with the goal of slowly amping up that total to get back to a 1250 per day pace, which is the pace I was doing when I was writing semi-professionally. I wanted to have the first draft of Seekers of Empyrean finished by March 31st so that I could start writing a new draft of a new project for Camp NaNoWriMo in April. I wanted to have that draft finished by October 31st so I could start Nano with a new project. And I wanted to be better at tracking my daily word count goals, because the writing program that I use, it tracks it for about 30 days, but it's a rolling 30 days and it falls off. I'm not really able to go back and look at my daily writing totals in that program. So tracking my writing totals was something I was hoping to do better at. Suffice it to say, I failed on every single account. I definitely didn't write every day. I would even say I wasn't really even prioritizing writing. At the beginning of last year, I really fell into a really strong reading habit. I read 11 books in January, and reading was my primary focus in terms of what I was doing creatively and for the content for this channel. So that was where a lot of my focus went. It's kind of scary how closely the end of this year is mirroring the end of last year and rolling into the new year, because at the end of last year, I was around the 18,000 word mark of my previous attempt at writing Seekers of Empyrean. I went for about 3 weeks with my New Year's resolutions trying to get deeper into that draft, and of course fizzled out at the 25,000 word mark, as I typically do. And that 3 weeks seemed to be a trend of trying to get back into a writing habit and fizzling out, because it reappeared in April when I decided to set aside Seekers of Empyrean and start longhand drafting a different project, tentatively titled Trials of the Windsong Goddess. It was also a second attempt at drafting that project, and again, it didn't get very far. I wrote for about 3 weeks and once again fizzled out. So it kind of seems to me that I tend to start really, really strong, and then by like the second week, I'm starting to kind of lose momentum. And then the third, I'm still trying, but after that, it just falls off completely. So that is something I'm going to have to really consider when I'm drafting my New Year's resolutions for this year, is trying to push past that 3-week barrier. I know the common wisdom is like, it's 3 weeks to make a habit and 3 months to make it a lifestyle, like a permanent change. And so I'm getting to almost 3 weeks. I'm not quite making it a habit. So I want to be able to push past that 3-week barrier and make my daily writing habit into a lifestyle where I'm writing the majority of the days of the year. But again, we're going to go over all of my writing resolutions for 2025 next week. So like I said, I started the year off with drafting Seekers of Empyrean. The previous iteration of the draft was only intended to be 75,000 words, so 25,000 words would have been the 30% mark. This year, I am going into the new year at just over 30,000 words. Right now, that is trending to be only 20% of the plot that I have outlined out. That was not my intention. I'm aiming only for 90,000 words, so I should be at a third again. But the first act just blew up completely out of my expectations, which is not the norm for me. Normally I write very thin, but I made it a deliberate effort this time to be more intentional with writing description and adding sequences, scenes, characters, moments that aren't so main plot heavy, which is how my first drafts typically go. It's all about the main plot and nothing else matters. And it's like just a railroad. So I'm pleased that I overcame that hump and I was able to explore more of this plot and this setting and this world and these characters through this first draft. But it does mean that I am quite a bit over on my word count expectations, which means that if I want to have this draft done expeditiously, I'm going to have to up my word count totals. I just think it's interesting that I was at a third last time and I should be at a third this time too, but I'm not quite. I am pleased that I am further ahead in my word count, but I am behind in terms of where I'm at with the plot. That being said, I am in a much better position to finish this draft this time because of all the work I did in 2024. So after I kind of fizzled out with Seekers of Empyrean, not even by the end of January, towards the end of January, beginning of February. In February, I went through that stretch where I was having migraines every single day, and it really took the wind out of my sails with pretty much everything that I was attempting to do, writing, reading, and content creation. I was pretty much just coming home from work and getting in bed. I was just coming home so exhausted from having to manage the pain and all of the other symptoms of the migraines and having to work every day that I had nothing left to give to any other sort of extracurricular endeavors for myself. So writing fizzled out. Maybe I could have kept going. I don't know. From rewatching some of my vlogs, it kind of looked like I was trending towards fizzling out anyway. But the migraines definitely put a hard stop on any of those aspirations. As I started to recover from those, I got some different medication. I saw my doctor. I learned a little bit more about what causes the migraines and some triggers. I just didn't feel connected, or I didn't feel like I had the motivation to continue with Seekers of Empyrean anymore. So as we moved into April, I kind of decided on a whim to do Camp NaNoWriMo after all, and started longhand drafting Trials of the Wind Song Goddess. Again, the second iteration of that project. I couldn't tell you because I longhand drafted it how far I got, but it didn't seem like I had a ton of forward momentum. That also, again, fizzled out after about 3 weeks, which taught me that it's not necessarily the word count goal or the medium that I'm drafting in. Something was creating some sort of mental block from preventing me from writing every day, and not even every day, but just consistently past that 3-week mark. Fortunately, I decided to take a new approach as we moved into May, which was the start of these writing vlogs that I did, just kind of documenting the process from very, very absolute zero start, theoretically, ideally, hopefully, to finish. Those were started at the very beginning of May, starting with, of course, picking which project I wanted to work on. And after careful consideration, I did decide to go back to Seekers of Empyrean for myriad reasons. You can go back and watch that video. I will link it right here. But basically what it boiled down to is it is not a secondary world, so I don't have to do not nearly as much world building. And it is intended to be shorter with the kind of Monster of the Week style inspiration. And so that meant that it is, of all of the fantasy projects I have in mind, it is the most approachable for someone just trying to get a draft finished. And since I had been drafting a different version of this project earlier in the year, it was still fresh in my mind. I still had a lot of ideas and felt still felt pretty connected to it. So through May, I worked on the beginning stages of the world building and kind of getting my head around what this story was going to be. In June, I kind of fizzled out yet again, both with reading, writing, and content, but I got back onto the bandwagon in July especially, and in August, finishing up the world building and getting into drafting the outline. Outlining is one of my favorite parts of the writing process. If what pantsers love about drafting is the magic of discovery, I get that feeling in the outlining phase. I do multiple drafts, and that is what I did with this. Multiple drafts, working out the problem sections where I had fewer ideas and trying to beef them up and trying to make them make sense in a linear fashion. It was a struggle. The outline still to this day feels very thin, but with the progress I have made with the drafting process so far and seeing what I have been able to do, coming up with ideas on the fly and outside of the outline and fleshing out the world outside of the main plot, I feel really strongly that I can make those weak points feel a little bit stronger. And it is just a first draft, so I don't feel the pressure to make it perfect now, as long as I feel confident that it's not going to doom the project from the start, so that I can go into revisions eventually without too much structural changes. Because with my last draft that I actually finished, there was so much wrong with it, so many structural changes that would need to be made to make it into a workable concept, that it completely sucked the life out of me and sucked the passion out of the project, and I never returned to it. It is still in the trunk to this day. I do hope to return to it once I have a little bit more confidence and experience, but I hope that all of the work we have done and all of the progress I have made as a writer, the growth I have made as a writer, will help this particular project not fall down that same rabbit hole where I can go into revisions with confidence. And then, of course, starting the draft right at the end of September, losing my way a little bit again because of health issues and other complications with my time and schedule, but getting back into things, taking inspiration from my AuthorTube friends here and growing the channel, and finally breaking that 25,000 word barrier earlier this month and pushing past it for the first time in like 5 or 6 years. So I don't have any like final word count totals for you. It's most likely in like the 35 to 45,000 word range in terms of like total words in the various drafts that I have started. I couldn't tell you how frequent I was writing or how much time I spent, but that is something that I intend to fix this coming year, is just being more aware and mindful of the time and of the actual output I am producing with my writing. In review, 2024, I had a lot of aspirations. I wanted to finish 2 drafts of 2 different projects and then be starting on a third. Revision was nowhere in sight. I don't know what I was thinking, but there was no revision plans in my resolutions. I definitely learned about what kinds of goals motivate me. It's definitely not word count based. It's definitely not time based. It's more about being consistent. And that is still something, even though I made that realization, I still do need to work on, which is going to be a point of focus in 2025. On the whole, it looks like this year was kind of disappointing. I think the most important thing is I found a process that does seem to be working with the vlogging and the being upfront and open and sharing my process with a community and taking inspiration from that community. Like I said, I'm going to talk so much more about my goals and aspirations for 2025 in my next video. I'm going to kind of talk about the broad spectrum of goals, from the ones that are realistic and attainable to like some stretch goals, the ones that would be nice, and then like my completely outlandish goals, the ones I know are neither feasible nor necessarily like helpful. And I'm just going to sort of lay out my vision for 2025 that will hopefully put me on the path to getting published one day. I don't know that I can say 2024 was a big step in that direction, but I feel in a much stronger position than I did last year. And I think that's kind of the most important thing. I've grown. I've identified some areas of weakness. I've learned so much more about myself and how to hopefully prevent further failures by not setting unrealistic goals and not idealizing this kind of vision of being a writer. I have dipped my toes into the community, which I take a lot of inspiration from, and I just feel less alone in this endeavor than I did last year, which is also so important. So while 2024 might look on paper as a disappointment, the way that I feel today, the inspiration over especially the last 2 months, to grow and change and adapt and take inspiration and be motivated and push through the hard times, I feel in a much stronger position. And I don't know what 2025 brings, but I am so much more, I just feel so hopeful and so inspired and so motivated that I just can't wait to get started. And that's pretty much it. That's my writing, my 2024 writing wrap up in a nutshell. It kind of meandered. I lost my way more than once, but I think I'm on a pretty well-defined path, and I feel great about it. And that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Just as a reminder, if you missed my last video, starting from today, I am no longer posting any more book-related content or reading-related content on this channel. I have decided to migrate all that content to a new channel and leave this channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, focused purely on writing. So if you're here for my writing content, great, you're in the right place. It is going to become much more focused on purely just about writing. And if you're interested in the book side of things, my book reviews and my lifestyle vlogs and just my reading and all of that, that will all be on my new channel, which I have called Read, Share, Repeat. And I will have that linked in the description below if you're interested in following the new channel. My first video on that channel will be on Monday, and I will be doing a 3x3x3 of books I want to read in 2025. My new schedule for this channel will be Tuesdays and Fridays. The videos will be focused purely on writing and largely writing vlogs, while you'll get more of a variety over on the other channel. So again, if you're a writer, you're in the right place, but if you're also interested in my book-related content, I encourage you to go follow my new channel. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe or consider leaving a comment below. As I mentioned, in my next video, I will be talking about my 2025 writing goals, and I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then.